let's be real. We're all ambitious people, right? We want to do great things, to achieve, to strive. But how many times does that ambition lead us straight into burnout? We're constantly told to chase this idea of work-life balance. But does that ever actually work for anyone? I don't think so. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into a much better way. A method for going after your goals without, completely running yourself into the ground.
Okay, I want you to imagine this. You're out in the middle of the Colorado backcountry. You're weeks into a really tough hike, pushing your body and your mind to the limit. And then you feel it. The sharp, searing, zinging pain shooting through your foot with every single step. That's the exact crisis moment author Kathy Oneto found herself in. And it wasn't just physical pain. It was an existential one, too.
See, this wasn't just about a sore foot. That night, she was standing at a literal fork in the trail. One path, it led down the mountain to a hot shower, to comfort, to relief. The other path kept her going, kept her on track to finish the hike she'd planned for so long. It was a choice between her goal and her well-being. And that right there, that's a crossroads we all face sooner or later.
And that's exactly when those huge questions start to bubble up. How did I even get here? Is this really what I want? Is all this pain, is it worth it? And you've been there, right? Maybe not on a mountain trail, but definitely in a job or on a career path where you suddenly stop, look around, and wonder if the ambition that drove you there is still the one that lights you up.
Her dilemma really shines a spotlight on a massive problem so many of us struggle with. For decades, we've been sold this idea of work-life balance, and we feel so guilty when we can't make it happen. But what if the whole idea is flawed from the start? What if we're all chasing something that isn't just hard to find, but is a complete and total myth?
I mean, even Sheryl Sandberg eventually came out and said it's a losing game. Her take is just so blunt and honest. There's work, and there's life, and there's no balance. The whole picture of a perfectly weighted scale just doesn't exist. Life is messy, it's dynamic, and trying to force it into some kind of static balance, well, that's a recipe for frustration.
You know, the biggest problem with work-life balance is hidden right there in the name. It puts work first. It kind of suggests that life is this other thing you have to squeeze in around the edges of your job. Shifting to life-work integration is so much more powerful. It flips the script. It puts life first and sees work as just one flexible part of a much bigger, more blended picture.
So if balance is the wrong goal, then what are we supposed to aim for? Well, the answer is something called sustainable ambition. You should think of it as a whole new operating system. This isn't about being less ambitious at all. It's about being smarter with your ambition, making sure you're aligning what you want with when you do it and how much energy you're putting into it.
And the method is actually pretty simple. It's built on 3 core pillars. First, are you chasing the right ambition? Like, is it actually yours? Second, is this the right time? You got to recognize that life has different seasons. And third, are you applying the right effort in a way that fuels you instead of just draining your battery?
And here's where it gets really practical. You can see how these pillars solve the tensions we feel every day. You know that constant battle between what you want deep down and what the world expects of you? That's a right ambition problem. That feeling of being torn between your work and the rest of your life, that's a question of right time. It helps you get realistic about where to focus right now. And that overwhelming feeling that you have to do everything all at once, that's where right effort comes in, helping you manage your energy so you can actually stick with it.
All right, let's dive into that first pillar, right ambition. And it kicks off with a really powerful and maybe even a little uncomfortable question. I want you to really think about your goals, your career, your to-do list. How many of those things are genuinely yours? And how many have you just sort of absorbed from your boss, your family, or just, society?
It really boils down to this simple distinction. Are your goals want-tos or have-tos? Want-to ambitions come from inside you. They give you energy. They feel rewarding even when they're really hard. But have-tos? Those are the external shoulds. They feel heavy. They drain your energy. And they're the things that make you wake up one day and ask yourself, wait, how did I get here?
So how do you actually focus more on the want-tos? Well, you have to anchor your ambitions in what the author calls your right foundation. This basically means you've got to consciously connect what you're chasing back to your own deep personal motivators, not what some external guide or influencer tells you you should want.
And that foundation is built on 4 core things. Your vision. What do you actually want your life to look like? Give. How do you want to contribute to the world? Your values. What's truly most important to you when all is said and done? And finally, love. What are the activities that just light you up and make you feel energized? When an ambition checks those boxes, you know it's a real want to. It feels authentic, and that makes it sustainable.
So the author tells the story about seeing a tarot card. It showed a beautiful bird sitting inside a fancy, gilded cage. But as she looked closer at the card, she noticed something incredible. The cage door was wide open. The bird wasn't actually trapped by bars. It was trapped by its own beliefs, its own self-imposed limits. It could have flown away at any moment.
And that leaves all of us with this one final, really important question. For so many of us, that cage door, the one that keeps us stuck in other people's expectations and shoulds, it's already open. We have the choice to fly. We have the freedom. So the only question left to answer is, what does your sky look like?